a little stand, but these are our books today. Now this one is gonna. I think this is gonna be hilarious. I'm really curious about this. One of the things we haven't done on This Ain't That Book Club is we really kind of stayed away from the novels because this ain't that book club. You know, we don't have time for books that you got to read from cover to cover, right? We more or less like books with a good table of content and good chapters and something that we can. Oh, I see what she's doing. Okay, so throughout the book, each chapter, she was revealing more and more. I kept wondering, like, as I was going through the book, more and more of the character was revealed on the pages. So, the Autobiography of My Mother by Jamaica Kincaid, and it says, my mother died at the moment I was born, and so my whole life there was nothing standing between myself and eternity. That is such a good explanation. That is such a good, hey Lion Lady, what you cooking? We're doing salmon wraps. We're doing a salmon wrap to go with the leftovers from Taco Tuesday. Between myself and eternity. Because I was talking with a friend of mine just yesterday. I was talking to Shay, and as you guys may know, she lost her mother this year, and was so much there for me when I lost my mom, and to know that I would turn around and have to console her in her situation is like, wow, who knew that was going to be where we are? But your mother stands in between you and eternity. Isn't that something? Myself and eternity. At my back was always a bleak black wind. It says Jamaica Kincaid's new novel is, and I don't know how new this is. You know, she probably done wrote 1,500 books by now. I got this I saw this, it hauntingly pulled me in from a used bookstore where people go and trade books. So I'm going to have to look up the author, find out a little bit more about it. I mean, this ain't that book club. We don't do all that. I'm not on here to like talk to you reverently about the book or the author or the genre or any of that. You know me, I rebuke rules and regulations and processes and so forth. That's just who I am. I saw something told me to look over my shoulder. I looked over my shoulder and this is what I saw peeking out from the shelf. Jamaica Kincaid's new novel is The Hunting. Deeply charged story of a woman's life on the island of Jamaica. Zula Claudette Richardson, daughter of a caring mother and a half Scottish, half African father, was delivered to his laundress as an infant, bundled up like his clothes. So, let's just randomly open up, okay? It was before I reached Massacre that I passed a woman who was not much older than I was, but who looked twice my age. I recognized her as someone who used to come to my father's house and help his wife to wash their clothes and sweep their yard. She did not perform this duty of washing clothes for me. His wife did not wish it. I would not allow it. I wanted to do everything for myself. At that moment, I was searching her. She resembled a martyr. But to what I am quite certain, she had no idea. She walked with her hands folded in front of her, resting on her stomach. Her stomach was swollen, but I could not tell whether it was with child or from illness. Her dress was old and faded and needed washing. Her feet were without shoes. Her hair was uncombed. Her skin, which when I first knew her, had been a fresh black, as if its blackness had just been newly made, and now dull and tired, and nothing could refresh it. We passed each other exactly under the canopy of an old tree. The earth had been torn away from its roots, by so many rains that the roots were exposed in a merciless way to the elements. Half of the tree was alive, half of it was dead. Neither this woman nor the tree became a symbol of anything to me. I had come to know that I would rather be all dead or all alive, but never half of one or half of the other at the same time. When I saw my father's house again, I wept. It was situated at the far end of a village in Mahat. If you were coming from Rosa, I hope I'm pronouncing these right. I know nothing about the land, okay? Going toward Belmont, I had never realized that it was a beautiful house outside. Its wood frame painted, let me turn this oven off. I'm keeping an eye on my vegetables. Its wood frame, I might like reading a novel. Painted yellow with deep brown windows. These shades of brown and yellow were not beautiful in themselves, and yet they were beautiful when seen on this house. It was across the road from the sea, the big sea, so silvery, so without end, so blue, so all-encompassing, so gray, so without mercy, so powerful and without thought. Against this, the house was so delicate, so vulnerable to the force of the sea that it faced, for it was not unreasonable to think from time to time the waves of the sea could reach it. It was not an old house. It had been built according to my father's instruction, but already it sagged with the many burdens of its inhabitants. My father's grief for the loss of my mother, his marriage to his present wife, whom he had not loved for herself, but for her family's connections and wealth. The grief her own barrenness had caused her, his son's lack of good health, the waywardness of his younger daughter. I could not see anything of myself in this house. I could see only others. I did not belong in it. I did not yet belong anywhere. My father's daughter, whom he had with his wife, who was not my mother, was born in the middle of the day, when the sun was directly overhead, and that was not a good thing. It was too bright a time of day to be born. To be born at such a time could only mean you would be robbed of all your secrets, your ability to determine events. No room could be made dark enough to protect you from a brutality so spare, so voluptuous, life itself. The time of day when his son was born did not matter at all. At any time of day a son is born is the right time. At the time his son was born, my father was no longer in love with life itself. He was not in love with anything. He only wanted more of everything, and of the everything he wanted, he did not want to wear it on himself. He did not want people to look at the coat he was wearing and know that he had many more where that came from. He wanted the things that could be laid at his feet. He wanted things he could do without. He wanted things that were without real use. Perhaps this was because, we'll get ready to stop here, because his life, he had already exhausted the experience of usefulness, the experience of needing, the idea of desire. He was an animal of neutrality. He could absorb love. He could absorb hate. He could go on. His passions were his own. They did not obey a law of reason. They did not obey a law of passionate belief. And yet he could be described as reasonable, as someone of passionate beliefs. I was like him. I was not like my mother who was dead. I was like him. He was alive. All right? Good piece. So I'm giving my peppers and onions a stir and look like they are ready to be tossed to the side and make a way, as you guys can see there. That's an interesting read. Really interesting. Hauntingly interesting. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to basically just move this to the side a little bit. Let that still go there in my pan. See how I've created this little well over here?